Boson, and welcome to Compassion Corner. In this second segment of Compassion Corner, we're going to talk about how to evaluate compassion in the interview process. As an old recruiter, there's an adage that we use that says, well, we hire for what individuals know, but we fire for who they are. And certainly the who we are part, as it relates to the patient experience, delves deeply into care and compassion. I know many organizations are focusing on care, concern, and compassion, especially now that CMS has new guidelines that directly relate to patient satisfaction and reimbursement. But above and beyond that reimbursement, our patients and our families deserve a caring and compassionate healthcare provider. So how do we pull that out in an interview? Well, although I'm a firm believer that individuals can develop compassion, empathy, and certainly I coach and help groups understand compassion, empathy at a deeper level, someone who does not carry that empathy gene is going to have a higher learning curve than those that have some innate ability for compassion and empathy. And certainly many organizations that I know of don't have all the resources and the means to help an individual develop empathy and compassion from scratch. Once we bring them on board and have individuals with that care, concern, that compassion, and can demonstrate that, then certainly we can provide service scripts and help build on that patient experience where they can then use that personal empathy and compassion to build a connection with the patient. So how do we explore compassion in an interview? Well, certainly using behavioral interview techniques, candidates can give us very good detailed stories and responses to our behavioral interview questions. But is that story authentic, and does it really come from the heart? We have to determine that we are not just receiving a highly crafted, detailed response, but better, can they demonstrate, and do you see and do you feel compassion and caring coming from that individual during the interview process? Do they not only know what compassion is, but is it represented in their body language and their response to behavioral, situational, and demonstrative interview questions? So, for example, when we ask someone, the basic question, perhaps for an entry-level position, why do you want to be in healthcare? Why did you choose healthcare as a profession? We might get the response, I love helping people. I mean, I've heard certainly numbers of individuals saying, I just love helping people. Okay, so what does that mean, and what does that truly mean, helping people, and how deep does that go? So we might follow up with a question such as, so you tell me you enjoy helping people, rather than the behavioral question of tell me about a time when you helped someone. Get more into the meaning of what does it mean to help people? What do you mean by that? And how do you know someone needs help? And so hopefully you will, and what do you do? What are the steps that you take to help someone? And what you want to look for is more than just, well, I asked them if they need help, or they've asked me for help. You want to say, well, I know people need help because of their facial expressions. Maybe they look like they're in pain. They look like they're having difficulty, maybe in their body language and their walking. Maybe they're quieter than usual. You really want someone who is looking out and observing and aware of others and getting beyond themselves, really being aware of when others appear to be in pain and in suffering. So you really want to hear more than how can I help you, or waiting for them to ask for help. You can easily teach a service script to a new employee. It's much harder to teach them the innate internal warmth and satisfaction, the true altruism of helping others. And we must evaluate not just what is said, but how the words and actions are being supported by a tone of voice, the cadence, the compassion sounds, such as and ah and and the associated body language that represents compassion. So for a sample list of interview questions to explore compassion and empathy during the interview process, and to add those to your structured interview questions, feel free to visit my website. I hope you find these questions helpful in giving you some ideas of how to introduce and explore empathy and compassion in the interview process. Thank you for joining me today, and please remember to be as compassionate to yourself as you are to others. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next session.